Okay, renovations for kitchens and bathrooms for landlords. The world has changed. The costs have changed. What people are doing has changed. We're going to talk about landlord renos for kitchens and bathrooms. Stay tuned.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
Leo, expert property manager that does lots of renovations for bathrooms and kitchens. It's changed. What happened?
I think legislation impacted the good old home renos. Strata have become involved, bylaws have become involved. It hasn't just happened, it's been a bit of a thing for a while, but I'm finding more and more landlords are wanting to update their property and sort of going around certain things to avoid vacancy, delay, and compliancy with strata.
So there's a few more layers than the good old fashioned renovation. Now, out of interest, what's a kitchen and bathroom costing for an average 1 or 2 bedroom unit in the middle of the beaches these days?
Well, a kitchen you could do quite affordably, depending on the size, upward of say, 15 to 22, somewhere around there. A bathroom's going to be excess 30, 35, even for a small one, even for a
How did
little
that
fella.
happen? It never used to
I
be like that. The kitchen was always more expensive than the bathroom.
I know. I guess with the DIY, do it yourself Bunnings ranges, like the Kaboodle range, I'm finding, a good licensed carpenter handyman puts those together very easily. There's no wait time because they have a lot of stock on those kitchens, especially just a high gloss white cabinetry, stone look, laminate bench top, all that can be put together within 2 weeks, and affordably so. And it really does pack an impact on the rental property. They look amazing. They're fresh. Rip out those old 70s wooden kitchens. I don't know. I've never been a fan of the old timber veneer. It's very dark and dated, but the kitchens can be very easily, it'll elevate the whole apartment. It changes the whole look, and tenants gravitate towards the kitchen. It's the heart of the home, let's face it. Whereas bathrooms, I find, are overlooked as long as they're not, excuse me, the tiles are not too bad. People can overlook color, age, as long as they're, clean. So they kind of look in like, well, it's got a bath, that's a bonus, and they get left behind. A lot of these kitchens are amazing and the bathrooms aren't so.
And the it seems like all the waterproofers and tilers have disappeared into a hole. You cannot find these guys anymore. They've gone. They've
Yeah.
gone into caves. You know, so to actively get these trades for a kitchen is easier than to get these trades for a bathroom. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, you don't even have to have tiles in the kitchen. You can just have a glass splashback, or
Yeah.
an easier style splashback. Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat. Lino on the ground, timber flooring, the hybrid laminate flooring. So all these tiling trades. I mean, I've got a good friend that's a tiler. Try and catch him to do anything. He's never available for anything.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
and that's one that I know on the whole northern beaches that does tiling. Like you said, waterproofing. That whole part of the bathroom renovation is, understandably so, because you're dealing with water, which becomes a huge issue in a unit block if it's not done properly. So
It's
yeah, that's why they can charge so much as well, because if that waterproofing fails, they have a duty of care to go back under warranty and rip up all the tiles and do it all again. And we've only
fine.
seen we've seen from the block, like that show, how stringent the standards are for bathrooms and fall and how all that works. Whereas, I don't know, back in the 70s, some of them don't even have a waterproofing membrane. It was just tile and
There.
shower on top.
And for a landlord, that must really be painful to come up with that sort of cost, pay for that sort of cost. What sort of return is there? Do tenants pay more? Do they agree? Do they tenants demand it, need it? They don't care. What's a landlord's like? If I do a 25 grand kitchen on a 2 bedroom unit that's rented for 650 a week, how much more will I get?
You could get probably around 720, something like that. You're not
For
going to go
50 or
from
70
six.
bucks a week.
You're not going to go something ridiculous like $200-300. If you're going to add other value, carpet, paint, and it's a whole, a whole aesthetic change, then you may go up into those higher brackets in rent. But what I also find is an option for landlords is to do what we call a soft bathroom reno. That's a tile regrout, changing screen, update your vanity, update
That's
your
not bad.
toilet cistern, and then you haven't changed anything like tiles and stuff like that, so you can get away with doing that without involving strata at all. I'm doing that for a property now in Darley Street, so it's going to have a nice new shower screen. We're going to rip out the old vanity, and then we're going to regrout the tiles, fresh tile regrout. That will make a huge change. Even lighting, changing the lighting, having a really nice bright fluorescent LED light. Some of these bathrooms have these old dingy lights. Just even adding that adds value to a bathroom. And then the owner can focus more on kitchens and flooring and other things within the apartment. So there are ways around it.
That's a pretty good return on your money for a kitchen or a bathroom. It's better than hard real estate return on your money. It sounds like it's more like a 10% return on your money as opposed to 5% when you're buying an apartment or a house. So it's good money spent doing a good job. Which reno would you opt for a return on money? Is kitchen going to make you more money back reno, or is bathroom going to make you more money back reno?
Kitchen every day of the week. Bench
Ooh,
space is huge. These old kitchens had no bench space. It's amazing how
dishwasher,
much, pardon? Yeah,
dishwasher.
dishwasher, and just even the appliance upgrade. In that
Yes.
cost is your oven, range hood, and stovetop. They come as a package. Um,
How much do you normally
so,
pay for that?
oh, look, if you're going to individually choose a stovetop, a benchtop, a range hood, it's a lot more money, especially if you're going for high-end appliances like Bosch and Miele, whereas you can get a Westinghouse pack that includes the oven, stove and range hood all together, and you're going to save money. And that's part of the quoting that we include when we do a kitchen.
How much for
Um,
normally those? 1,500 bucks, or what do you pay?
Yeah, it can be in excess of that. And, it just depends as well on whether it's gas or electric, ceramic top, induction. There's a lot of variables with the costing. But like I said, within that scope of around 12 to 22, that also includes all your appliances, unless you choose a specific brand that you want. So um, it's a good way to save money.
Do you ever reno with the unit with the tenant in there?
Yes, I've had a mutual agreement where the tenants have said we're going on holidays for 3 weeks. If the landlord was going to do something now, I'm going to be gone. When they know they're going to get a new kitchen, I had one in Goodwin Street. They just became accommodating. Yes, I would love a brand new kitchen. They stayed with friends. They came back at night when the tradie had gone. It's very viable. It's not, it's not dusty as such, like a bathroom, like tiling, dust and stuff. So you can pull out a kitchen, clean up the area, and then start doing the cabinetry and stuff without making the whole place a mess, as much as we try. um and yeah, just adding value. A kitchen will add value, definitely. Tenants like a nice kitchen.
So, in conclusion, 25 grand for an average kitchen, 35 grand for an average bathroom. Do both bathroom and kitchen have to go through strata and unit blocks? Or is
No,
that
so
just the bathroom?
bathroom, yeah, strata. Basically, there's minor, major renovations. Major's bathroom, minor is something like a kitchen. You do sometimes have to go through approval with strata for a kitchen, but it's not as stringent. There's not as much bylaws. If you're not changing anything, no plumbing's being changed or anything like that, and you're just updating cabinetry, you can get around it, because all you're doing is, it's like anything. If it breaks and you're going to replace or restore it, you don't go through strata to change your oven. You don't go through strata to put in a dishwasher. So all that sort of stuff with the kitchen, as long as you're not moving plumbing and gas and all that around, is
Yeah.
pretty straightforward.
Well, that's a good secret. Try to keep your services in the same place, because sometimes you think, oh, I just like to move this over there, and that's going to cost you $5,000. Because you don't do it, and yeah, are you going to get more rent? No. So try to not move your services around on your kitchen or your bathroom, and it's going to save you. It's going to be a better return on your investment. And by what you're saying, if you're spending 25 grand on a kitchen, you're going to rent it for about 50 to 75 bucks a week more, which means you're getting about a 10 or a 15% return on your money, which is good, pretty good return on your investment, considering if you just buy a property, you get a 5% return on your investment. So a kitchen and bath for reno, to buy an original unit and do that reno, get the tax deduction and get the extra rent, a better return on your money. So from what you're saying, advice out there is buy an original and do it up. Sounds like it's a better return for landlords. And something also before we go, better quality tenants.
Yeah, you get longevity out of that tenancy. They tend to stay when their place is nice.
Yeah.
And you're not reletting all the time. And yeah, there's no comparing new for new. Even when you look out there at all the apartments, most kitchens look very similar. And a tenant will be happy to stay where they are if they're happy with their kitchens and surroundings. Definitely.
There you go. So thank you so much, Cleo. Great advice
Thank
from an
you.
experienced property manager with over almost 20 years of property management experience, dealing with lots of landlords, lots of tenants. You're a champion. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great
Have a
morning,
good day.
everyone.
See
Bye.
you.